Hey, Edu-Transformer, innovator, and learner-centered practitioner, learning experience designer. Welcome back to the 12 Days of PBL, affectionately named after the 12 Days of Christmas. We are on day 9, if you can believe it, of 12 days. We've been on quite a journey. We started out looking at what are high-quality project-based experiences. We talked about authenticity. We then spoke about how to build those authentic community connections in day 2. Day 3, we looked at how to infuse our curriculum and content and skills naturally within the project-based experiences. Day 4, we looked at scheduling and scaffolding. I brought in a brilliant mastermind behind the elementary school scheduling and scaffolding of PBL, Marie Simpson. We also then looked at day 5, how do we really support learners who have ESL, English language learning backgrounds, or diverse special learning needs, as we all have a very special needs. We also then looked at learning spaces and how do we build those learning spaces for project-based experiences. We brought in my friend Ashley, who's over there at Verso International School, creating some brilliant spaces, which I encourage you to check out. And then we talked about how do we scale and build buy-in for project-based experiences across our school organization. Day 9, we're going to address something I think is on a lot of people's mind when it comes to PBL. How do I build independent, self-directed learners? One of the big barriers I hear from a lot of teachers is they complain that their students aren't ready, or they might have tried project-based learning and students went every direction and it was chaos and it was a headache for them. I understand that. This is a big ask of students to ask them for the first time to be self-directed and independent. And I want to share a story that I think illustrates what this is like. And it's a story of when I had a neighbor who went on holiday break and she wanted me to take care of her dog. I had a dog. And so I figured, well, how hard could it be? You know, my dog's comfortable being off the leash and always stays close. She told me 2 things. Remember to feed the dog, obviously, and remember to keep it on its leash unless you're in an enclosed area. So I said, no problem. Took the dog to an enclosed area that we always go to, let him off the leash. She ran around a bit. Great. She came back and everything was fine. Decided to take her to the park the next day. And I said, look, how hard could this be? She is behaving already. So, I'll let her off the leash. I let her off the leash, and I kid you not, you probably know where this story is going. Within 5 seconds, she had bolted straight away from me and out of the park and into, to my horror, oncoming traffic. Now, good news is the dog lives, and finally the dog somehow made it back to my house. Needless to say, I probably am not going to be watching over that dog anymore. But the thing is, I let that dog off the leash too early and didn't really have the managing skills to be able to navigate, to be able to self-manage, to be able to know to stay close. And so this is much of what our learners are facing. And we call these things the executive functioning skills. And I'm going to take you through how to kind of develop those executive functioning skills of time management, planning, metacognition, self-control, working memory, perseverance, organization, flexibility, attention, and task initiation. Sorry, I'm reading those executive functioning skills through an actual case study. And this was at the International Montessori School. And they run CAST projects, community action and service projects. Now, part of that program asks students to take on their own independent projects, but there's no way with a long time span that they have for these projects that they can just let them loose. Of course, they have a mentor to help support them. But before they develop these independent projects, they work together in different groups as a class at a more kind of set, structured type of project-based experience. And so they had an organization they were attached to. They were raising money or funds for this organization. And all that class had to do is put on an event. So they had some parameters. They were going to put on an event. It was for an organization. And they had a bit of the timeline that was laid out for the students to be able to do that and how they would team students. And by doing that, they gave students kind of these, executive functioning skills to start working towards those different milestones. And they were successful in planning that event. Then they started moving students into allowing them to choose whatever kind of projects they wanted to run. And they gave them some parameters. They said it has to be involved in, the school and help support the school in some way. And students took on these cooking. They wanted to teach peers how to cook, and they built like this cookbook. Another team took on this composting project, but those teams were nicely mentored and managed by the facilitator. And, one of the things that they did is they had them break down the project into, different categories: to do, doing, and done. Students could then divide up the tasks. So when it came to, for example, that cooking group, they had to put together tutorials or videos. They had to learn what kind of ingredients that they're going to need for their recipes. They then had to cook those recipes. They had to host an event. So they had all these things in the to-do category. And, students would divide up the tasks amongst their group and then move it over to doing and done. Another support that they offered was they'd meet regularly with their mentor to get feedback and some tips in moving forward as they coach them through each of these deadlines that they had put in place for themselves. And that, teacher had all the project groups kind of in one place. You can have it on Excel spreadsheet, or you can have it in some kind of project managed software. You can even have it on a big whiteboard where you have all the groups and where they're at. But these are the kind of, here's my plant here. These are the kind of scaffolds that are going to lead to self-directed independent learners, okay, that are going to develop those executive functioning skills. So again, to develop those self-directed independent learners, you're going to want to kind of scaffold a little bit of the process initially before you're going to let them completely off the leash. And like that dog in the story, be able to feel comfortable with being off the leash and, of course, not giving you a heart attack. So that's day 9 on how to develop self-directed independent learners. Share what kind of strategies you use to develop self-directed independent learners. Please share those in the comment section. Under this is the link, transformschool.com/12 days of PBL, for all 12 videos related to the 12 biggest questions of PBL. Now, finally, it would be a missed opportunity if I didn't invite you to the live event that I'm hosting tomorrow night around assessment. And it's specifically around how do we effectively assess and report out on PBL. You're going to get a very simple framework, but more importantly, you're going to get connected to PBL practitioners across the world for insights and idea sharing from people actually on the ground. So again, go to that link, transformschool.com/12 days of PBL. If you fill that out, I will give you the information for that event so I can see you there for day 10, which we will be live in a Zoom call. So hope you sign up for that and leave a comment on how you develop self-directed independent learners. See you tomorrow. Bye.